You heard it here first. Bitcoin is going to zero. Zero. When it comes out, zero.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's Bitcoin and cryptocurrency news. I am George. That is going to be my new intro from now on because I can't stop laughing at it. Welcome. Happy Friday. It's a good day. It's a good day. I've been saying Bitcoin is on a different path. It's really on a different path. Today it decided to move up a little bit more, and that's what's happening right now. Bitcoin slowly moves up a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and now we're at 18,600. Actually, we were just at 18,800, and I really thought that, 19,000 right around the corner, and I really do believe it is around the corner. So we will probably see 19,000 by the end of today. But then this weekend, that's why I've been putting out polls on Twitter, because I really think that the way Bitcoin is going right now, 20,000 is right around the corner. Though I thought 20,000 would come at the end of the year, but maybe it comes a little bit early, right? So is there anything that can stop this bull run? Well, I guess we could discuss that today. Also, there's a lot more bullish news that came out today. I mean, it's just like nonstop bullish news now, right? Everyone is bullish on Bitcoin right now, and you know what? It's a good time. It's a good time to be a holder. It's a good time to still be accumulating. It's a good time for altcoins. Altcoins had a good rise up today, right? But overall, everyone is feeling pretty darn good about their portfolio today, right? And that is a very, very good thing. So thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell if you are new. I usually do my Friday streams at 11 a.m. That's pretty consistent, but seeing how fast Bitcoin has been moving, I probably will be doing a lot more live sessions, if not daily, once again, because it's definitely getting very, very, very exciting. All right, so let's get started. Thanks for those of you guys that tuned in already. 18,594, not too shabby. Yesterday when I was streaming, I think it was, hovering below 18,000. It was like 17.9, 17.8, 79, 18. And the day before we had a little bit more excitement. Today we're having a lot more excitement because there's so much bullet news. And there's actually one that no one's talking about, and it's very significant. I've been talking about how Grayscale and others have been buying Bitcoins behind the scenes. Now, someone else has come out and said, yeah, we've been buying $100 million worth of Bitcoin per month. But it's not due to the reasons you would think, but it goes to show you there's so much buying going on behind the scenes that we just don't know about. That is why, to make Bitcoin go up, 700, 800 points within a day, we're talking about billions of dollars flowing in, right? We're not talking about like a million here or there. We're talking about billions flowing in, and it takes a lot of buying to do that, right? And I have a very, very mind-blowing statistic that I want to show you guys too. And if you just think about it that way, it'll really blow your mind in terms of how little there really is left, and how quickly Bitcoin could really run up. It's really mind-boggling, mind-blowing. All right, so in case you guys don't know, I do have my QR code for Vegas Fund. So if you guys are looking to join me and others in Vegas in 2021, you can contribute. I had someone else contribute yesterday. I don't know who, but thank you for that. That's there. It's just a matter of time before we hit 20,000. So I definitely need to start planning for that. All right. Let's start out with CMC. I haven't looked at for a while. BT's dominance still pretty high, 66.1%. But I noticed something new today, and I'm not associated with CMC at all, but this is a fun thing if you guys want to win some money. I just noticed this headline this morning, Bitcoin at 20,000, right? So basically, it sounds like CMC is having a contest where if you could predict the right time BTC hits 20,000, you could win some hard cash. First place, second place, third place. First place will win $2,000 in BTC. Second place will win $1,500. Third place, $1,000. That's pretty significant. And all the other users who entered the time slot, the winning time slot, will share 5,500 BTC evenly. Interesting. And this is hosted, of course, by Binance. You have to use your Binance account ID. But why not? We're all trying to predict when 20,000 is going to come. Why not join in and try to win some money, right? So I just noticed that this morning, so feel free to do so. All right. So the biggest news of today is, of course, this. Some of you guys may have heard of it already. The CIO, the Chief Investment Officer, not Information Officer, the Chief Investment Officer of BlackRock says that Bitcoin will take a significant part away from gold going forward. That says a lot, okay? That says a lot. And who is BlackRock? If you don't know who BlackRock is, they're an American investment company based out of New York, founded in 1980. So they haven't been around for a while, but they are the world's largest asset manager with 7.4 trillion in assets under management. And that was the end of 2019, right? We're kind of close to the end of 2020. So that figure is probably higher than 7.4 trillion. But think about that. $7.4 trillion of asset under management for one company alone. That kind of shows you how much money there really is out there. Imagine just a tiny fraction of that, right? Even if you took, 10%? 10% of that would be 740 billion. That is twice as big as the total market cap of all Bitcoin, right? So imagine just a few percentage of that moving away and moving into Bitcoin. That is huge. That's just from one firm, okay? There's a lot more firms like this. Just kind of shows you how small and insignificant really Bitcoin is right now and what the potential could be in the future. But anyways, going back to this story, this is a big endorsement, okay? The main guy who's in charge of investments at the largest asset management firm in the world is now saying Bitcoin could replace gold. I don't know how you could get a larger endorsement than that, right? I mean, here's this quote. It's hard to say it is worth the price it's trading at today, but do I think it's a durable mechanism that do I think will take place of gold to a large extent? Yeah, I do, because it's much more functional than passing a bar of gold around. Well, duh, this is the thing that we've been saying for a while to gold bugs, to Peter Schiff, to everyone, right? Like, how easy is it to just carry around a bar of gold, right? And how easy is it to actually buy something with a bar of gold, right? You want to buy a Subway sandwich, you go shave some gold from your gold bar off? I mean, it's not very useful, right? It's just something that, you could argue it's a store of value. Maybe you could melt it down for watches or jewelry, but that's it. Bitcoin is much more useful. You could transfer a lot more of it. You could carry around $1 billion worth of Bitcoin in your ledger, in your pocket, and no one will know. Try to haul around $1 billion worth of gold around, right? I mean, not that any of us will ever have $1 billion, I don't think. But maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe, but just of course, right? Of course. So this is a big endorsement, and he's not just saying a small extent. I mean, really, he's saying a large extent. I think will take place of gold to a large extent. So what does that mean, right? Gold has 10 trillion in market cap. If it's 10% of gold, that's 1 trillion already, right? But what if it's 20%, 30%, 50%? Okay? Large, maybe it's 50%, right? That's 5 trillion market cap, right? Look at where Bitcoin is now, like 300 something billion. That's a long way to go. So this obviously is very, very, very bullish. A huge endorsement from probably one of the most credible financial guys in the world. So, yeah. I've been telling you guys about billionaires and hedge funds and companies, right? They're all coming out in 2020, especially now, and they're all going bullish on Bitcoin. They're all bullish on Bitcoin because they finally realize the true potential. It's a true potential of Bitcoin, right? Why it was created, because distrust in banks and central banks and governments to do the right thing, distrust in fiat, right? And that is coming true. That is why all these rich people, the large money, is now getting involved with Bitcoin. It's exactly why they're getting involved with Bitcoin. They're already billionaires, okay? They're not really expecting their billions to turn trillions, but they're trying to protect their money. They don't like seeing their fiat messed around with, and they're turning to alternatives, and now they're turning to Bitcoin. That is huge. Huge. All right. Ray Dalio, he made news recently. I even talked about him yesterday. He's not 100% Bitcoin bull, okay? In fact, he says he doesn't like Bitcoin. But if you look at what his story is, right, it's the same story as people buying Bitcoin, because he is telling people not to own bonds or cash, right? To quote, in my opinion, don't own bonds, don't own cash, because they're producing a lot of debt and producing a lot of money to fund it. And so that's changing the nature of capital flows. Cash is trash, right? This is why I think Ray Dalio will turn to Bitcoin, and it'll be another billionaire that gives a big endorsement of Bitcoin, because that's what all these guys are thinking, that cash is going to be trash, right? Even though we all need it right now, but still, it's going to be devalued. And who's to say, you know, what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years based on what the governments around the world are doing now, right? That is why these guys are buying Bitcoin. So very positive. Very positive indeed. All right. So I think yesterday or a day before, someone asked, what happened to Tom Lee? And it just so happens Tom Lee did an interview on Yahoo Finance, and I found this. This is a good watch. Those of you guys, yes, I will see you guys. Even billionaires want to be trillionaires? I guess that's true. All right, so I downloaded this. It's about a minute long. Listen to what Tom Lee has to say.
It's an interesting year because, number one, we know that Bitcoin as a digital asset or internet money, it's really thrives off network value. So the more people who adopt it, the more parabolically the price rises. We've seen a pretty substantial increase in engagement this year, and I've been pretty surprised because it is institutional. We always thought U.S. would be sort of the most important market to watch for adoption, and it's really taking off here. Fortunately, we are one of the few firms that sort of sits between institutions and digital assets, so we've seen a lot of interest and a lot of engagement. The halvening happened this year, which of course historically is good for price because you're reducing supply. But history also says that the year that follows the halvenings is much more important. So I think if Bitcoin was the best performing asset last year, 2019, it's
So as you can see, Tom Lee is very, very bullish on Bitcoin once again, right? Best performing asset in 2019, which is hard to believe, but it is. Best performing asset in 2020. Of course it is. It's up like 170% or something, right? And it continues to inch higher. And he's telling people that 2021, the year after the halving event, is usually the most bullish, right? Telling people to prepare for fireworks in 2021. So Tom Lee is doing his part to generate FOMO, that's for sure. He's coming back in full swing. And I like how he subtly mentioned that his firm is in between institutional investors and brokerages, whatever his firm is, Fundstrat. I like that subtleness. He just slid it in there really secretly. Or smoothly, I should say. But anyways, yeah. So, I've talked about after 18,000, you're going to see a lot more headlines, and you're seeing it everywhere. Yahoo Finance, CNBC, CNN, Fox News, Bloomberg, Newsweek, right? Market Watch. Everyone is starting to talk about Bitcoin. It can't be ignored at this point. It really can't. And the funny thing is, I've been showing you guys, if you look up Google Trends, there's not that much retail FOMO yet. This is just the beginning, the very, very, very beginning. What's happening right now, why Bitcoin's going up, is because all the big money, the smart money, they're all buying ahead of time, preparing for the worst. But retail FOMO really didn't start yet. So imagine once it starts in 2021, what it's going to be like. It'll be like 2017, probably times 2, times 3, times 10, because you have a perfect storm where everyone is looking at and talking about Bitcoin. So, and I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there's an interesting statistic, and I'm going to show you that. And once you just kind of figure that out in the back of your mind, your mind will be blown. It's really, really fascinating. Okay, this also is very, very fascinating. So, I've been talking about how there's a lot of buying behind the scenes, right? That we just don't hear about. So Winning Poker Network, which operates a number of online poker sites, said it has been forced to buy millions of Bitcoin a day to meet demands of exiting players. As reported by Bloomberg on Thursday, 90 to 95% of Winning Poker payouts are in Bitcoin because of the recent price rise. We are constantly having to go out and buy Bitcoin. Lots. More than we ever had to before. So think about it. They're buying millions of Bitcoin a day. Right? So this is another reason. Roughly 100 billion per month. Okay? So think about it. They're buying 100 million per month, while Grayscale is buying like $1 billion per month, and then everyone else is buying tens to hundreds of millions per month, right? This is why there's just no circulating. There's no new Bitcoin circulating out on the market. Everything that the miners are mining is gone instantly. They're gone even before they're mined, right? I mean, this is what I'm talking about, right? Who would have thought like poker, right? Like the poker sites, right, are actually needing to buy Bitcoin because all the players want to cash out in Bitcoin, right? That's wild. That's something that you just don't think about, right? But it's happening. It's happening. So yeah, there's a lot of buying going on behind the scenes we just don't know about. Again, contributes. This all adds up, right? This all adds up. And this is why Bitcoin is so steady, little by little, and just inching higher. And there we go. Okay, this is funny. This is really funny. I think a lot of you guys could relate to this. So SoftBank, which is a big investment company out of Japan, the CEO says he doesn't understand Bitcoin, and it was distracting my focus on my own business. This look, I know you guys know this look, right? So he invested 200 million in Bitcoin in the past, right? And then he was forced to check prices all the time. And then it becomes so much a distraction. He's like, I can't do this. I'm being too distracted. He sold, losing 130 million. Had he kept that at 200 million, it's probably $1 billion now. Because I remember he bought it very early on. But this is the thing that we all struggle with, right? When you're in crypto, you're on your app like constantly, right? Like every minute or two, and you're checking your prices. So this even affects the most wealthiest people. So he couldn't stand it because he was checking his Bitcoin price so much that it was affecting how he works. I just find this really, really, really funny. Really funny. And this picture is perfect, right? I'm sure he's going to buy back in sooner or later, but this is just really funny. And J-Mart says, I haven't slept in days. Get some sleep. Yeah, I think we can all relate to that. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how rich you are. You're still human. You still fall for FOMO. I used to say that a lot, right? FOMO is not just with average Joes, with retail investors. FOMO is with everyone. Okay? It could be billionaires. It could be hedge funds, right? It could be family offices. It could be publicly traded companies, but they're all run by humans, right? Just because they're ultra rich doesn't mean they can't fall for FOMO. And in reverse too. They fall for the same emotional thing that everyone else does. So really funny. All right, anyways. Where CCNBC is talking about Bitcoin, where Visa sees crypto going with Bitcoin near all-time high. I'll tell you where Visa and MasterCard and American Express, where they see it. They're seeing that they're missing a piece of the pie. That's what they're saying right now. I guarantee that. They're seeing banks getting involved now, and they're seeing PayPal and Square, which are also credit card processing companies, they're seeing they're getting involved with Bitcoin and crypto, right? That's eating away at Visa and MasterCard's transactions. So I'll guarantee you they're trying hard right now to think how they can incorporate this. I mean, it's really hard because you have credit cards, right? It's not like you can just like enable Bitcoin on there. It has to be something digital, right? So maybe they work with companies. Maybe they work with Apple, with Apple Pay or something, or Samsung Pay or something, and they incorporate it into Bitcoin somehow, right? But I guarantee you, they're all worried right now. The higher the Bitcoin goes, the more worried they're gonna become, because they're like, okay, we need to get on board, and it's really hard for them to do so at this point. So, yeah, they're probably struggling right now. All right, so couple more things. This is the mind-blowing thing that I want to share with you guys. Bitcoin price doubled since halving. That's not a surprise. With just 3.4 million Bitcoin left for buyers, right? I don't think people realize that. So if you look at Bitcoin, 18.5 million has been mined, right? In total, 21 million. Now, I forgot the exact amount, but like there's a very little amount of that is set to span like a course of 140 years. But I believe like 95% of it can be mined and will be mined within the next 10 years, right? But even, without thinking about that, just think about this, right? So there's only 3.4 million Bitcoin left to be mined. I just mentioned how every company right now is basically buying up every single Bitcoin that's being mined. There's no new circulating Bitcoin. And just to kind of show you, just do a calculation, right? So I just did 18,000. I'm just going to bring up the calculator right now. I don't have an online calculator, so you could calculate on your own computer. $18,000, right? Or no, I'll just do 19,000 because we're closer to 19,000. And then we times that by 34 million Bitcoin, or 3.4 million Bitcoin, right? That only comes out to be about $65 billion. So there's a lot of people with $65 billion that theoretically, if they were trying to initiate a buy, they would put in a $65 billion buy, and technically they could buy 3.4 million Bitcoin. Of course, that's not how it works, right? Because if anyone actually did that, the price would rise up astronomically. But just think about that, right? Let's just say it's fixed, it's out there, you could buy it. 65 billion to buy the remaining amount of Bitcoin left, right? In its entirety, in its existence. There will be no more after 21 million, right? 65 billion, that's a lot of money, but someone like Jeff Bezos, that's not even a third. Yeah, that's not even a third of his net wealth. That kind of shows you how much money is out there, right? I just talked about BlackRock having 7.4 trillion in assets under management, just themselves alone. In the entire world, there are trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars out there. And it kind of shows you how small Bitcoin is. And when everyone wants a piece of the pie, which is coming, that is why Bitcoin has a really good shot to go up to 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, and many people are predicting maybe possibly to even 1 million someday, because there's just not that many. There's really, 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 really not that many circulating out there, right? And when you have all these big players with so much money trying to grab a small piece of it, you know what's going to happen. The price is going to go up astronomically, and that's what we're seeing right now, right? So, I mean, that's something that I've just never really computed. I'm like, I know there's 3.4 million left, right? But it doesn't take that much money to buy it. But think about it. When everyone's trying to get a piece, it's going to cause that price to go up So high. So high. All right. Lastly, I want to bring up and check up on our good friend Peter Schiff. I want to see if he's doing okay because I'm concerned for his well-being. Look at his last few tweets. He posted one 2 hours ago and one 43 minutes ago. He's starting to shift his, you get it, shift his negative bias against Bitcoin. Because there's really nothing else he could say at this point, right? But look at this. Though this article is negative on Bitcoin, the Fox Business interviewed feature is extremely positive, speaking very favorably about Bitcoin and seriously discussing the possibility of Bitcoin trading at $300,000 by next year. Doesn't that sound very bullish? Like Peter is actually turning bullish on Bitcoin, right? When was the last time he actually phrased an article like that, right? And why would he even post an article, right? And then talk about how, yeah, you know, there's other people speaking favorably about it and how it's going to 300,000. He used to would say like, look at this guy. He's so delusional thinking Bitcoin's going to go to 300,000. Bitcoin's actually go to zero, like my intro.
You heard it here first. Bitcoin is going to zero. Zero. When it comes out, zero.
Right? Like that was the kind of stance that Peter Schiff had. But now he's starting to turn, right? He's starting to turn. And then the one from 43 minutes ago, he's like, okay, he talks about the tulip craze, right? Which happened 400 years ago. Come on, 400 years ago. Like, okay, I can't even compute 400 years ago, okay? I don't think any of us will. But he's saying, okay, do you think 400 years from now, right, will Bitcoin replace the tulip bulbs as the greatest mania ever? Of course, you know that the poll is going to say no because most of his followers are Bitcoiners, right? But here's the interesting thing, and I saw someone say this. Well, this is funny. It's not funny getting old because I'm getting old too and I hate it. But you know, that's relevant. But I saw someone in here make a comment like, okay, why are you talking about 400 years from now? None of us will be here 400 years from now, right? If you didn't like Bitcoin, why don't you just say, will Bitcoin in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years be known as the greatest mania ever? Why are you saying 400 years? Who cares what happens in 400 years? Maybe the earth explodes in 400 years. Maybe aliens will invade. Maybe we'll all be living on Mars. You know, there's so much that could happen in 400 years. You know, of course, no one's going to care, right? But again, you know, I'm starting to sense that he's turning around, right? I've speculated this before. He started talking about his son buying Bitcoin, right? He asked people to donate to his son. You know, I'm thinking he's turning around and he's going to say, okay, I had a candid conversation with my son and he convinced me, even though he has done a million debates with Anthony Pompliano and they have done nothing, but I think it's just, he can't ignore it anymore, right? Like what else can you say? You can't say it's going to zero because it's not. Some of the guys like BlackRock's CIO and others, they're all arguably smarter than Peter Schiff, and they're all turning to Bitcoin. They're all saying good things about Bitcoin. So who do you listen to, right? And then speaking of gold, just like that picture I showed you, Bitcoin is still, I mean, gold is still at 1900. You know, so it's barely above its all-time high. And that's, you know, within the 11 years of history. Had Peter just done what Anthony Pompliano suggested, just put in like 2% or 3% or 5% of his net assets into Bitcoin in that last 11 years or the last 5 years or since 2017, he would have probably gained hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, had he just put a small amount of his net worth into Bitcoin, but he refuses to do so, and he still hasn't turned a leaf yet, but I think he will soon. All right. Bitcoin is climbing back up, 18.7. I think it'll be at 18.8 soon. I did notice that, yeah, this did come down from 18.8 because some of the shorter indicators were sky high. And it did need to come down. For example, you look at a 15-minute, you can see stochastic and RSI topped out. But you can see the 15-minute is, is turning around, right? Today, obviously, BlackRock's endorsement, I think, opened a lot of people's eyes. When the CIO, the chief investment officer of the biggest asset management firm in the world, tells you that Bitcoin will take a large chunk away from gold, I think people listen, right? A lot of people listen. So I think that's what kind of drove Bitcoin up a little more today, and it will continue to drive more. And we're just going to hear more stories like that as we move closer and closer to 20,000. So is anything stopping this train? Is anything stopping this bull run? I don't think so. I don't think anything is stopping this bull run. Yeah. So let me turn to you guys. I said a lot. Let's do Q&A. It is smoking hot in my room. Your city doesn't have a Lambo dealer? Well, I guess, yeah. I guess around where I live, I don't even know where the Lambo dealership is, but I'm sure you can order it and someone will deliver it to you, no problem. Lambo or Tesla truck? Cybertruck, I put my 100 down, right? When it comes out, I'll probably buy it. DD, thank you for that. And I missed someone else's super chat. Blade Runner, I think it was you. Yeah, there we go. Please no XRP ad today. Well, a lot of people like to hear about XRP, and it's an important message. He does own some BTC and just fronting. Probably. No, do not get a new EV Hummer. I would not trust that thing. I would not. One for wife changing wealth. Well, I mean, arguably, for some people, already happened. I know some people that have talked to me have been dollar cost averaging all this time, since 2017 to now. Some have been dollar cost averaging since 3,800 earlier this year, and they have attained life-changing wealth or wife-changing wealth or whatever you're after, right? So, yeah. So that has happened for many people already. Rob, don't worry. I know there's a lot of XRP fans. I do have an important message. I'll show at the end of the stream. If you have 50K right now, would you put all in BTC? Not financial advice, but yes. I have put a significant amount in recently. And I regret not doing a lot more, when it was at 4,000, 5,000, right? But it was an iffy time. I was scared like a lot of people. I had what I had before, but man, I should have stuck to my roots like, man, this is the bottom. I'm going to go all in. I really regret that. So right now, I'm seeing what's happening with Bitcoin. What's going on with Bitcoin is not like 2017. The price rise is not driven by FOMO. It's not driven by FOMO at all. You could argue that there is no FOMO with Bitcoin right now among retail investors. You could argue that FOMO is with the big money, the hedge funds, whales, the institutional investors. They're FOMOing right now, but retail investors have not FOMOed at all, right? So it's very, very different right now versus 2017. You could definitely hear it. You could definitely feel it and see it. Right now, what's going on is the smart money moving in. And they all realize there's not that much left. There really isn't, right? There's only 3.4 million to be produced and to be mined. And whatever's out there in circulation, it's not that number. According to this, is 18.5 million circulating supply? No. Approximately 30% of that is lost due to people's computers breaking down. They forgot their keys or whatever. Satoshi's own stash hasn't moved, right? So if you look at that, the circulating supply of Bitcoin is actually really, really low, much lower than 18.5 million. But even if it was at 18.5 million, think about it. 18.5 million to be distributed around the world, 8 billion. That's nothing. And you know that it's not going to be distributed around 8 billion. It's more like the ultra rich is wanting every single piece of it, right? Grayscale alone has over 500,000 Bitcoin, right? So there's just not that much. So anyways, going back to my point. So I have been putting a lot more money into Bitcoin because I do believe we're in a very I would say like the start of something. Like Bitcoin is turning the corner, about to really become mainstream. Like I feel that's coming. Besides the fact in 2021, I do think there's a huge price rise, but I think we're really turning the corner in terms of everything that we were saying in 2017, what we wanted Bitcoin to become, it is going to become in 2021, right? I honestly feel that way. I just don't think anything can stop this train anymore. This is legit. You have Congress people that's coming out saying that they're going to be endorsing Bitcoin because they believe in it, right? You have public trade companies, you have hedge funds, right? You have basically countries, and you have even like like the G7, not G7, G20. You have all these organizations. Everyone is talking about Bitcoin. It's just very, very, very different. Of course, adoption, with Square and PayPal, and I covered like Visa. They're all getting into it too, right? This is a very different time. Everything that we wanted, we were hoping for in 2017, that we've been talking about 3 years later in 2020 is starting to happen. In 2021, it's going to go into full effect. That's how I feel. So I think 2021 is really going to be a turning point for Bitcoin. Do you think there will be a liquidity grab, sell the news event for big guys to get more? There could be. But I don't think the volatility is going to be the same as it was in 2017, 2018. Was it Giancarlo? I forgot his first name, but he was in charge of the CFTC in 2017. The Bitcoin was going up so fast, they didn't know anything about it, the government I'm talking about, and Trump and everyone else is like, find a way to kill it. So they introduced Bitcoin futures, and that killed the market because it was in a bubble in 2017. There was nothing. Everything I'm talking about now didn't happen in 2017. It was purely driven by retail FOMO, right? But now, right, and afterwards, he actually admitted that's the reason why they approved Bitcoin futures, to kill Bitcoin, right? But because of that, because we know it was driven purely on FOMO, there's a big potential of things coming down. At the time, we didn't want to believe it, right? And even I was oblivious, and I just ignored the fact that, yeah, it was probably going to go down in a big way, but I was hoping that it would come up faster. But it carried out this 4-year cycle just like it did previously, right? And we're coming to the end of that. But anyways, what we're seeing now is more organic. We're not seeing as much pumps as before, right? Remember in 2017, those of you guys that's been around since then, we had daily climbs of 1,000 points, 1,500 points, 3,000 points, and altcoins were exploding because of ICOs, and Ethereum was exploding at that time, right? There was just a lot of money all over the place, and we had daily or weekly 30%, 40% drops, but then we would just recover really fast, right? We're not seeing that. We're seeing slow and steady growth right now. Slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady. So it's very, very different. So with that said, can we see a big correction? Can we see a liquidity grab by the big people? We could, but I just don't see it. They don't operate the same way, right? When you have someone that's buying $100 million worth of Bitcoin as a reserve currency, they're not buying it to swing trade. They're not buying it to, okay, I'm going to sell, when I hit 20% profit. That's not what they're doing. These guys are buying as reserve currency because they're trying to hedge against inflation, right? So can they possibly do it? Yeah, but I just don't see that's their true intent, right? But with that said, if Bitcoin hits 20,000 in the near future, let's say this weekend, right? There could be a possibility of some kind of correction or consolidation period or whatever, right? And we could come down from there. But, I was just explaining this. If Bitcoin, let's say it comes down 3,000 points from 20,000 almost immediately. Let's say overnight it goes down 3,000, right? That would bring it down to 17,000. And where were we a day ago or 2 days ago? We were in 17,000, right? So if it comes down 3,000 points, we're back to where we were 2 days ago. Let's say it falls down more dramatically than that. Let's say it goes down 6,000 points, right? That would bring us down to 14,000, right? Where were we? 14,000. We hit 14,000 here, the start of November. So that was only like 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. So even if it goes to 20,000, falls to 6,000, right? That only brings us back less than a month, and then we would continue forward, right? So at this point, it's like, why are you worried, right? If it falls that dramatically, if it falls to 14,000, 13,000, 12,000, 10,000, it would be the biggest gift in my eyes, right? I would be going heavier into Bitcoin if that happened, right? So if it happens, great. But like right now, that's why I'm not worried at all. It hits 20,000, comes down. So what? You know, it's just bringing us back to a week ago or a few days ago, right? But if it doesn't come down, if it, let's say it halts, that would be a good thing because it takes a breather. And guess what happens if Bitcoin takes a breather? Money flows into the altcoin. So if Bitcoin hits 20,000 and it stops and just hovers for a little bit, I do expect the altcoins to be moving up in a big way. Big way, right? We've been seeing it a little bit this past week and last week, but I think it's going to happen in a big way. And regardless if it doesn't, eventually altcoins will come up and ride the coattails of Bitcoin. But let's say, you know, the third scenario is we break 20,000, it just, you know, hell breaks loose and we just shoot up from there, right? That could happen too, because that's when FOMO will start hitting and maybe we stay here for a little bit and we jump up to 22, 24, 28 really quickly. We could, and we could see more volatilities then because people are just going nutty for it, right? That could happen too, so. ETH is at 512, is it? Let's see. ETH is finally moving 7% today versus Bitcoin's 3%. So good, but last 7 days, still trailing. You keep ignoring my messages, but you look at the volume, it's 90% USDT. How's this organic growth? Well, you know, USDT is institutional money coming in, right? You do know that, right? So regardless if it's USDT or Bitcoin futures or grayscale buying, it's money flowing into the market. And I don't agree with you. Your 90% assessment, that's not true at all. Mobile tech support, appreciate that. Yeah, I've been trying to review all the cards. I definitely do like the X5 better than a new Q7. They just didn't do enough on a Q7, so the X5 is definitely superior. What do you think about gold? I don't own any. I just think it's too slow. I just don't own any. I'd much rather buy Bitcoin than gold. Let's just put it that way. I'd much rather buy stocks than gold. I'd much rather buy anything than gold, honestly. How do you feel about China only 64% off BTC mining? Think they could shut it down? If they wanted to shut it down, it would have been shut down already. But they're not stupid. They wouldn't do that because the other countries that are mining, and including a lot of those Chinese companies that are diversified outside, they would just take over. So it would be stupid. They rather tax it. They rather try to do what they can to limit it. But they're not going to shut it down. That would be the most idiotic thing. You know, if they know it's in their backyard, why would they not want it to continue? Especially if there's a good chance that Bitcoin goes much higher and becomes a dominant digital currency. Why would they not want to control 64% of it? That would be stupid. So if they wanted to, they would have shut it down a long time ago. Why don't you be honest to your viewers and tell them the earth is flat? Come on, Leon. Come on. Come on now. Yeah, there's so much money to be made. I mean, it's the same argument. 800 people watching today. Wow. A lot of people tuning in. Smash up the likes, guys. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. The reason why Bitcoin won't be shut down is because governments would rather tax it. Governments need money. They're all in debt, right? They all need ways to make money. So there's no way they would shut down Bitcoin or try to, because first of all, it's too hard. It's not worth their time. And second of all, they would much rather tax the gains that people are making than try to shut it down. Why would you do that, right? Like, you rather just tax it and Bitcoin goes to the moon and everyone becomes millionaires, then great, they get to tax 30 or 40% of those gains, right? It's a win-win for them. There's no way to go try to shut it down. VR, your thing is not working. It's 823 to be exact. Hello from Norway. Welcome. Actually, Mike, in Europe, there's some countries that tax way more than that. Way more. Like, we're talking about 50 to 70%. So, okay, if you believe it's 80 to 90% and you don't believe it's legit money, that's your opinion. But no, that's not accurate. That's another thing, low roller. That's right. Everyone is rich. If everyone's rich on Bitcoin, they're going to spend, right? Lambo sales will go through the roof. Tesla, Ferrari sales will go through the roof, right? People use that money for something. They don't just hoard it. So that's exactly right. COD Daily said, I bought some gold in 2012 and still have it. If I only bought Bitcoin instead. Yeah, just like Peter Schiff. I don't know how much you bought. It doesn't matter, because even if you bought $100 worth of Bitcoin back in 2012, that would probably be over $1 million today. So I guess take that as a life lesson. Don't bet against Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on XRP and Stellar? Do you believe it can be bullish? Well, I do have thoughts. I have an important message about XRP at the end of the stream. But Stellar is more the same. XRP, surprisingly, it's actually deflationary, while Stellar is inflationary. Stellar, I mean, it's founded by the same guy, and Stellar basically was copied from XRP due to, Jeb McCaleb got kicked out, or he left, or whatever. But he kind of retuned it, kind of did a few things, but he made it inflationary. And Stellar Foundation does own a huge chunk of all the XLMs out there, just like Ripple owns a huge chunk of XRP. So, I don't know. Honestly, I used to be pretty bullish on both. Now I'm less bullish on them. I just think there's better buys. Let's just put it that way. There's better buys than XRP and XLM. Arnie, that's not true, and that's not a word. How much do you invest in Bitcoin? As much as you could afford to lose. Doesn't matter how sure you are or how sure I am. If you're going to invest, make sure you only invest what you could afford to lose. So basically, if it went to zero the next day, you're okay. Never go more than what you could afford to lose, right? Don't put on credit cards. Don't take a loan out. Don't leverage. Don't margin. None of that, because you'll go get wrecked that way. So it's whatever you can afford to lose. The best thing is dollar cost average. Why is ETH still not closer to all-time high? Because there's so much competition. There's so much. Back in 2017, ICO craze, everything was based on ETH, right? They start smart contracts. Everyone's trying to catch up. Nowadays, there's a dozen of other companies that has smart contracts and arguably better blockchains. So the only thing really carrying Ethereum right now is DeFi. DeFi took off in a big way. No one expected DeFi to take off this big, and it did. And what's really helping that is because they're all based on Ethereum. They're running on Ethereum, right? But once DeFi starts moving off and going to the other protocols, I don't know how that's going to affect it. But yesterday I found out Grayscale owns $1.2 billion worth of Ethereum in their trust. So that's a lot. So Grayscale obviously believes in Ethereum a lot and keeps buying Ethereum too, or at least their investors do. So that could help it in a big way. What you could afford to, John says, what you could afford isn't enough of investment to make you rich if you're poor. No, that's not true. That's not true. It always starts somewhere. Whatever we can afford now, even if you're not poor, right, is still considered poor versus the richest standards, right? If we can invest $100 today, that's nothing compared to the rich that can invest $100,000, $1 million, $10 million, $1 billion, right? It's nothing. But still, if you play your cards right, and you're investing, you're not wasting that $100, let's say, to go out to eat or whatever. Or right now, that's a bad example because no one's going out to eat. But whatever, you get my point, right? Here's a good point. Rather than spend $400, $500 on a new PS5, which all the young people are going crazy for, right? You put that money, you put into Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up tenfold, that 500 becomes 5,000. And then they can use that 5,000 to do something else. They can invest it or whatever. They could continue to hold their Bitcoin or they could buy altcoins, whatever, right? But at least it's going in the right direction versus you have a PS5 in 5 years that's just probably sitting there and not doing much. That's my point, right? You have to start somewhere, and it doesn't mean you're just making a one-time investment. That's it, right? Most people that invest continue to put more and more in over time, and it builds, and that's how you build wealth. You accumulate interest and all that stuff, right? Not that I'm a financial advisor, but these are things that I wish I've known earlier. In my 20s, for me, I've always been somewhat of an entrepreneur, so I always figured out how to make money pretty quickly. So for me, I never save money. And it's arguably that I still don't save money. I do, but not as much as I should. But I've always been a type where I thought I should just make more money than what I spend. But with that logic, what ends up happening is you always spend more, and then you have to figure out how to make more. Eventually, you can't make more, right? But had I invested a lot earlier in my 20s, I used to be into cars a lot. Like I switched cars like every 6 months. And I'd not done that, put all that money into even stocks or even into even the bonds or whatever, right? I would be much better off now. So it's one of those things. When you're young, you don't really care. You just want to make a quick buck. You want to make $1 million. Otherwise, you think it's too hard, too lazy, whatever. But once you get older, you realize it's a stupid way of thinking about it. Crypto Phil, if that's really the case, then you've trained him well. You trained him well. Or maybe he doesn't know what a PlayStation is. Or that could be it too. VeChain and Chainlink, they're both projects I really like. Chainlink got associated with DeFi, but honestly, they're involved with everything. They're an Oracle play. If you need reliable data that can't be hacked, right? Especially DeFi projects need it, but other companies need it too. Chainlink, that's why they are as high as they are. They've cooled off since going up so sky high, but look at them. They're sitting at number 5 on CMC. I did not believe that Chainlink could move up this high, this fast. I honestly did not see that coming. I thought maybe they could be in the top 20 and hover there for a while, right? But they just shot up. That shows how big Chainlink is. VeChain, I'm waiting for that moment to happen. VeChain is very involved with every big company in China. So when China really goes all gung-ho about crypto, I think VeChain will move up in a big way. I'm surprised more people are not in VeChain right now. They should be moving up. They should be in the top 20 at least. And really, they will be in the top 10 eventually, but it's just going to take some time. I think a lot of people are sleeping on VeChain at this point. Do you think if Bitcoin gets rejected, ETH will fly? Not rejected, but I've been noting that Bitcoin could do one of three things, right? I think at 20,000 there will be something going on, but if it doesn't, let's say it just hovers at 20,000, just takes a breather. Yeah, I think altcoins will start going up in a big way. I think we're starting to see that already. That altcoins are starting to move once again, right? But I do believe at 20,000, if Bitcoin just hovers here for a little bit, I think alts will really start moving. And it's arguably that even if Bitcoin comes down, right, maybe back down a little bit, the altcoins can also benefit from that because people are taking their money and profits and putting into altcoins. So I think that's coming around the corner. Now, if you're wondering if ETH will double to 1,000 within this period, no, it's not. I don't think so. I just got done explaining. ETH is weaker now versus 2017 because of the competition. Any guess why ADA is not on Coinbase? Probably because Coinbase fears that it's a security token. Cardano had a very strange pre-sale and ICO that happened privately in Japan. Okay, so not a lot of people talk about it. People just kind of glanced over it and assumed that, Charles just kind of was a good citizen and just kind of brought it upon the world. No, they had a private sale at an ICO, a very private one in Japan. So because of that, maybe Coinbase is fearing that it's a security. I don't know. That's what I'm guessing. Nathan, I mentioned about nulls quite a bit recently. The team has been in contact with me, telling me about what their progress is, and they are making good progress. They're not giving up by any means, and they are planning a marketing push. But unfortunately, they have fallen so low, they become what I consider ultra low cap. And ultra low caps are not getting any love right now because people are paying attention, and they have more trust in Bitcoin and the big caps and the mid caps. But the smaller caps and ultra small caps, they're having a really hard time moving. So hopefully nulls can do some good marketing. And also when altcoin season really hits, I think a lot of these good projects will start coming up again. Ones that we've known for years, right? I think it's just we got to wait for it. David, that is exactly. When you put your money in Bitcoin, the longer you sit on it, the more you make. All right? All the Bitcoin billionaires from the past, the early people, like Roger Ver and guys, like those guys and Max Kaiser, they didn't get to Bitcoin billionaires from day trading Bitcoin. All they did was buy early and sit on it. That's it, right? And a lot of people that are multimillionaires from Bitcoin, same thing. All they did was buy and sit on it. Even the Bitcoiner, even the newly minted Bitcoin millionaires, what they did was buy, and hold. They didn't try to swing trade or day trade to $1 million. Maybe, I'm sure some people have, but most people, the name of the game is to buy and hold Bitcoin. That's how you make the most from it. Hyperwaves? No, I don't think so. I don't hear anyone talk about Tone anymore, but I mean, him and his buddy, unfortunately, whoever that brought up Hyperwave, they kept saying let's go back down to $1,000, $1,500. Even last time I checked Tone, he said it was not going to go below 10,000. I don't know what else he said recently. I don't follow him anymore. So I think Hyperwave is kind of out the window. Unless you're this guy.
You heard it here first. Bitcoin is going to zero. Zero. When it comes out, zero.
That clip just kills me. I can't stop laughing at that. If you watch that guy, I don't know his name, but if you search Bitcoin is going to zero on YouTube, that guy has such a potty mouth. He swears left and right, and he keeps just dissing Bitcoin. But the thing is, the audience members, no one cheers or agrees with him. They're just kind of standing there listening. Like, no one actually cares about what he's saying. He just thinks if he's very vulgar and somehow it's going to convince people. So, yeah. All right, guys. I'll let you guys go. Bitcoin is certainly doing well. Another 600 points out of nowhere. Some big endorsements today. Big surprises too. You know, obviously BlackRock, their endorsement is huge. Huge. Also, you know, a surprise, like poker sites are now buying Bitcoins by millions upon millions per day and 100 millions per month because their players rather have Bitcoin. They're cashing out on Bitcoin. 90 to 95% payouts in Bitcoin. Think about that. No one wants cash. They want Bitcoin, right? So you have a lot of surprise players now that's buying hundreds of millions of Bitcoin, right? BlackRock's endorsement is going to cause a lot of other hedge funders think, okay, maybe I shouldn't have so much gold. I should have some Bitcoin, right? So the world is just really, really different. The whole perspective on Bitcoin has completely changed 180. I don't hear anyone talk bad about Bitcoin. I mean, if you could find an article from like someone, like even Norel, you know, Dr. Doom, even he said Bitcoin is a store of value. Like really, and Jamie Dimon recently said, it's not my cup of tea. No one is coming out at this point saying Bitcoin is a Ponzi, Bitcoin is a scam, right? No one is saying that. I bet even if you ask Warren Buffett today, he'll probably say the same thing. Oh, it's not my cup of tea. Or he's going to come out and say, you know what, I was wrong about Bitcoin, just like I was wrong about Apple or Amazon, and I should have got in earlier. You know, the whole mentality of it, the whole aura about Bitcoin has changed in a very short amount of time, if you think about it, right? Even Peter Schiff, I guess arguably one of the biggest Bitcoin bears. If you look at what he's saying here, I mean, he kind of changed his tone too, right? So very, very, very exciting. We could be at 19,000 by the end of the day. We could be. And we could certainly be at 20,000 by this weekend. I probably will have a 20,000 live stream. No, I will have. I don't know if it's going to be this weekend or next week, but it's coming. It's definitely coming. And I think we're all pretty happy today, right? For most of us. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, I have my Vegas fund up. If you guys want to join me and others in Vegas, please donate. It's going to be a good time, a good large gathering of rented Lambos. All right, guys, that is it. I do have an important message about XRP. I know some of you guys, diehard XRP fans, or you want to learn more, I got the perfect video for you. So watch it and take care. Bye-bye.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larson.